Yeah, so I'm Dion Lee.
Just want to
I'm
double
the
check.
I'm the chairperson for the Girls Football Association, and it's our goal to help attain flag football across the United States for girls to participate as a high school sanctioned sport, as well as a college opportunity sport. I've been one of the creators here in the state of Nevada to get it sanctioned and to get girls playing. We have over 3,000 girls at 40 high schools here in Las Vegas that participate in flag football. And we're like, hey, it's 3 sanctioned states, Florida, Nevada, and all places, Alaska. So we are really pushing we're pushing it. If Alaska can have it, anybody can have it.
Everybody have it, right.
It's the last frontier for girls to be able to participate in the sport. They're not able to play, even though it's an alternative. It's not tackle. But, once they turn 18, there's other tackle opportunities for them as adults,
Oh, and things I know from my perspective from an old athletic director is that we had girls that didn't like soccer and didn't like the other fall sports. Like there's an alternative here because a lot of people grew up liking football, but they're not opportunity to play. So that's a good idea.
Yes, definitely that. And we've been pushing it for the last 7 years here in Nevada to where we got it sanctioned in 2016. It became a state varsity sport. It became a state championship sport, and it's picking up like wildfire right now. And we're looking at expanding to California, Arizona, Utah, Denver, and Portland within the next year.
Now what is the process about getting it on the ballot, so to speak, to be a state sanctioned sport? Sorry.
Right. Well, we have to we're getting it started as a club sport. I'm just getting in so I can cool off so I get a better view. My little son just came in, wanted me to come inside, but I'll kick back right here. So we got to get it as a state sanctioned. First, we get it as a club sport at the school. We create the league. We get a league to buy into it and say, hey, we think that girls should participate this as a varsity sport. And then, Kobe, I'm on the phone. Then from there, they would present it to their league commissions. So like if you're in California, they got San Diego section, LA section, Southern section. Right. So they'll put it to vote to put it in that section and make all the schools in that area start flag football. And then it spreads to the state, and then that's how it becomes state sanctioned. So it's about a 2 to 4 year process to get going, to make it an official sanctioned varsity sport.
Okay. So what gave you the idea to make this try and run?
Well, 30 years ago, my football career, well, actually 28 years ago, my football career came to an end because of Title IX. I didn't know what Title IX was when I was 20 years of age, so I'm, mad at the world, and they quoted me for being mad at the world for my football career coming to an end. And then I learned a little bit about it, and then unfortunately, I wind up having 6 kids, 4 daughters, 2 sons. So my first 3 kids were daughters, so there you go. I've been a Title IX advocate for about 20 years now.
That makes perfectly good sense, right? Well, and that's the thing, again, from my point of view, that it was okay. We have, and to hate to say it, but we were forced to have girl sports, and to get rid of guy sports. The more girl sports you had, the more guy sports you could have. So, that's an interesting way of looking at it. And again, it's one of those things where you get the girls out there to participate. It's something that will be worthwhile. So, as you're growing this, what have been the difficulties you've run across?
It has not been any difficulties, believe it or not. Just about every athletic director has been very open to the idea. They see that it fits a Title IX compliancy, so it helps out in that terms. As you know, girls have 1.5 million fewer opportunities than boys in high school to play sports.
Right.
And basically, that's because there's no football element. Every sport has a male and female component with the exception of what? Football. So if we can bring football to the table instead of just having a powder puff game, that most high schools do, and it's the most crowded game. The boys are the cheerleaders, the girls out there playing football, so there's a lot of excitement, We haven't had any feedback at all from anybody. You know, they're like, how do we get this thing started? How can we get it at our school? And it's like, hey, all we have to do is start a club team first and then let the process take place.
Okay. And same rules, same regulations, same field. You don't have to do anything else other than
Right.
get the field built, set and ready to go. Yeah.
Right. The field is a little bit modified. We play 100 yards by 40-yard wide field, but the space is there. Every high school has a patch of grass that can put a regular sized football field on. So our field is condensed where it's only 100 yards wide. 100 yards long, 40 yards wide. So a soccer field would do, a football field would do, a patch of grass would do. You know.
You're not asking for any additional facility use, in other words, yeah.
Right. You're not building no new facilities. All you're doing is using some spray paint to spray paint your markings on the field that already exist. And then it's also very cheap to start the sport. You know, you're looking at just jerseys and flags. You're talking about an average of about $20 per girl. You use some footballs, flags. Of course, the girls buy their own cleats.
Okay. And as we were discussing before we started, as far as the safety issue, obviously you don't have to worry about helmets and pads and all that.
Right.
We're looking at what kind of issues you look at as far as insurance or anything like that. Is it just a normal high school setup, or is there more necessary than that?
No, it's the normal high school setup. They're insured just like a soccer player, like a basketball player, and like a football player, you know, at the high school level. Of course, high schools are asking each athlete to have their own insurance. If they don't have their own insurance, then they can buy a policy through the school district to be able to participate in sports. So it's just a matter of what's the best time to place flag football at a school because of field use. You know, most people want to do it in the fall, but you got to realize you got 3 sets of boy teams out on the football field. You know, where would you practice as girls? You know, and then there's soccer in the fall as well, so the other fields are taken up. So right now we do it here in Nevada in the winter. Florida does it in the spring. Alaska and San Francisco School District does it in the fall. So right now there's 3 different times of the year that football is being played for girls. The Girls Football Association is working on trying to get this uniform that is being played at the same time in the same locations. So either a fall sport or a spring sport would be preferred.
Okay, and what do you think would work best? Would be a spring sport?
I personally would like to see it be done during football season. I know that in Alaska, the girls varsity team, they play Friday night lights with the boys. So they're the first game and then the boys. You know, so that's a nice ordeal. We play a minimum of 18 games a season. So we play sometimes 2 and 3 games a week like basketball. So it all depends on how the district introduced the game and how many games that they were allowed. So again, that's what GFA is all about. It's about organizing and kind of coming up with common rules across the United States until the high school federation takes over.
And since it is a quote-unquote non-contact sport, you can play more games such as soccer or field hockey or something like that. So you don't necessarily have to have it on the Friday or Saturday night.
Correct. We do play semi-contact, meaning that the girls can put their hands on each other to block. You just cannot thrust or push the girl off. You can't make a blow. You got to put your hands and absorb the hit more than give the hit. You know, so
well, while we're at that, why don't we kind of go over the rules? What is it that differentiates it from flag football from actual tackle football?
Well, of course, there's no tackling at all. That's a penalty. The equipment that is used is basically, you know, T-shirts, shorts, or spandex, as far as your uniform is concerned, or football pants, and flags. You know, a tackler makes a tackle by pulling the flags off. We use triple threat flags. In our game, there's no spinning because they're trying to alleviate running into each other. You know, if you spin around 360, you don't know where you're going to run into.
Right.
So we're trying to eliminate that. There is no headgear, so we took the head out of the placement of being in tackle. Even though some schools want to use the soft-shelled helmets, the school district's kind of looking at that as, well, the girls will feel inferior or superior and do things because they feel that they're protected, that they would do if they weren't protected, you know. putting their head down, to go dive, get kicked in the head. I got gear. They think they're getting protected when they're really not. So the district is still in between about using soft head gear. I'm favored to have that gear because the girls do get hit in the head with the elbow. The ball does hit them in the head.
Right.
They do fall, when they get tripped. So, I look at safety, but I guess the school district are looking at, insurances and possible lawsuits because you have safety gear on.
Okay, looking at it, something like a rugby helmet, something like that, a rugby cap.
Yeah. The new soft shell helmets that they have out right now that the boys are using for 7-on-7. They'd be the old leather helmets back in the 20s, per se, but
right.
with a little bit more technology and look a lot better.
Well, dealing with the concussion thing, I know a gentleman that's manufacturing like a concussion suppressing skull cap. Something that would work. Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe we'll introduce you to him. That's an idea of something that maybe that might work as well. When they get out there, what has the reception been as far as from the fan base?
Fan base has been great. You got dads like myself who played Division I football or high school football or even professional football who were fortunate or unfortunate to have no boys. So as a dad, you know what I'm saying, I want to see my daughter be me out on the field as well.
Right.
So I know one of my proudest moments was seeing my daughter out there running touchdowns and smoking everybody because she's super fast. And then having all my buddies say, man, she remind me of you. Hey, I'm a dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I got out of it. So a lot of dads will get more involved in it that were ex-football players if their daughters had the opportunity to play a sport that they grew up playing themselves. The girls get a sense of confidence. Self-esteem is high. They get to work on, teamwork because football is the ultimate team sport, So the same things that we grew up on playing the game, the girls get the opportunity to do the same thing.
Right. And obviously that's one of those things where you start to train, you get everybody together. And one thing we've always talking about with team sports is it builds more than just the game itself. So I think that's a pretty impressive thing. And like you said, it's something I hadn't thought about, the bonding with the fathers that, is there, but that's something additional that you get to pass on what you've done to your daughter, which, unfortunately you're not able to do if they don't play the same sports you play.
Right. And you got a lot of, daddy girls who sit down on Friday night and get at the football games with dad, watching Saturday morning football, watching the NFL football on Sunday, Monday and Thursday. So you have those girls who have the knowledge of the game but never had the opportunity to play the game. And they won't be able to play the game until they become 18 and they join one of the women football leagues or teams that's out there for tackle football, But my thing is get your IQ up early.
It's probably too late.
Huh?
I said by that time it's probably too late to really get the enjoyment of it and be able to play intuitively, right?
Yeah, but you know what? The girls' game is very advanced as adults. It's just that unfortunately they didn't get the 10 years prior experience. So now if an 18-year-old girl comes out there and play, it's not till she's 25, 26 years old when she masters the game. If somebody coming there at the age of 30, they might not be but 36, 38 years old before they master the game. And as we both know, the older you get, Father Time always come and get you in football, in any major sport, but especially football.
Right. Well, as you're doing this, you're building a grassroots part of this as well, as far as a youth leagues as well. Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, part of the plan is Girls Football Association is the advocacy voice for the girls to get it in high school because that's where we want to start at. And then we bag that up with another group called Premier 7 Football, which is the same rules as high school, but it's the youth league. It's the Pop Warner football of girls flag football. And so what we're telling the athletic directors, because they always ask us, okay, where are we recruiting these girls from, to come play in high school? Well, we're going to create those grassroots organizations within the areas that the high schools are being picked up. Because again, if the girls that are 6, 7, 8, 10 years old can see that girls in high school can play the game, they'll be more willing to want to play at a younger age so they can be good once they get in high school. We're also using the high school platform because they have the facilities, they have the girls, and they have the coaches to put the pressure on the NCAA to make this a scholarship opportunity sport. So we're hitting it right in the middle. You know, that's where the market is at. You got a lot of high school girls who want to be athletic, but they don't have the athletic body per se. You know, when you say basketball, you're looking for a tall, slender girl who can move or a short, quick girl who can move. You know, some of those girls who are like 5'4", maybe 185 above, what sport could they really play stereotypically? There's not really many. You know, and we know in football, the bigger you are, the more likely we want to use you for one reason or another. You know, there's more opportunities for girls to find a position. You can be a good catcher, you can be a good thrower, you can be a good blocker, you can be a good tackler, you know, just like track and field. You can be a long distance runner, you can be a sprinter, you can be a thrower, you can be a jumper. So having options. In other sports, your body type dictates if you can play the sport or not. You know,
Right.
The stereotype. Not to say that, you know, a big girl couldn't do it, but the likelihood of a girl running up and down the court for 8 minutes nonstop in basketball doesn't happen that often. But when you convince a girl who's not comfortable with her body and say, hey, I just need you for 5 seconds. Count to
Right.
5, run full speed, go block somebody. That's all I need you. Need you come back and rest 30 seconds. You know, so football has an element that allows every body type to be able to be out there and every level of being an athlete out there. If you're not that, you know, that athletic, but you a nice size, you're closer to the ball. If you're athletic, you might be wider, you know, catching the ball, running the ball, throwing the ball. So it gives girls an opportunity to experience sport, the ultimate team sport, and to contribute to the team and not just sit on the bench and be a mascot.
And as we know, football is not just a physical game; it's also a mental game. So if you're out there and able to think your way through the sport, and again, like you said, it's a 5 second at a time possession. So I think that's something I think we forget. We put them on a soccer pitch. You're out here running around for hours at a time. That may not be
Yes.
to your best interest, and that may not be to your strength. So, and I hadn't thought about that when we started thinking about this. Like, okay, what you know, can you play soccer? Can you play water polo? Can you play lacrosse or volleyball? You may not be suited for that, but there's not many people that aren't suited to at least start playing football. So that's a very good idea.
Right. So it gives a lot of opportunity for girls. And like I said, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking as you're looking at it, and I think you're hitting it perfectly. You start at this point here, and then it's kind of like they grew soccer, because you remember as we were growing up, no one was playing soccer, and then when that World Cup hit, then everybody started playing soccer. So now every little kid in the country is playing soccer. So what is going to be your event, the jumping off point where everyone says, all right, this is the point where we said now girls flag football is the new wave. Is there an event in plan or?
Oh yeah, right now we are working on hosting the very first high school national championship in June of 2020. And it's going to be televised on the major sports network, just like the Little League World Series, just like the lacrosse championships were on for 13U. We're going to do high school, 14U, 12U, 10U, 8U national tournament. But the focus is going to be on the high school, because those are going to be the better athletes, more visual. They understand the game a lot better than an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, or 12-year-old at this point. So we figured that once we get this thing on national TV, on national sports network, and it's seen, if we have 64 teams or 120 teams, once it's being seen and known that 18,000 high schools across the country are going to try to get a team started and put them into that national tournament at some point in time. And, you know, until, again, the National Federation catches on, we're going to be the lead organization. And like you said, in 1999, nobody was playing soccer, but when the women won the World Cup, everybody went to go play soccer. Soccer fields were being built all over the place. In 1996, it was the U.S. Olympic team going around and winning the Olympics, went 88-0, and started the ABL and the WNBA. So it's been almost 20 years. It's actually been 20 years since the last movement of a women's sport that has kicked off. And we know that this is going to be an Olympic sport in 2024.
Okay.
So we're getting a jump on it right now. So those girls who are going to participate in the 2024 Olympics are in high school right now, or are in middle school right now, and they need to be playing games right now.
Okay. Now, this is more of a Las Vegas kind of question, but when you have that event here, where would you hold it at?
Well, there's several places that we are looking into. We're looking at the James Sports Complex. It's a new 61-acre soccer complex over on the south side of town. We have UNLV, who have their regular football fields and intramural fields. And then there's a couple of high schools that are set up where there's high schools, junior high school, and an elementary, all on the same land, basically, but they have different grass space where we can probably get anywhere between 8 to 10 fields set up in that platform. And then there's also a football park called All-American Park, where we know we can get at least 7 football fields at that location. So we're locking that down right now. We're locking down sponsors. And like I said, we're locking down the opportunity to have this on the network.
Okay. The reason I asked that is just to kind of give people the idea of the space needed, and I was going to try and draw a correlation between what we know and what we can compare that to. So when you get this locked in, how much lead time are you going to need as far as getting the sponsorship, getting all that together? You said you're working on it already.
Yes.
What kind of publicity are you going to do?
We're talking about doing major publicity. We're talking about major advertisement on the network that we're working with, that we're going to partner up with, so that we're having constant airwaves out there, because it makes it valid. You know, when a national sports network takes over and becomes partner with you, and they're seeing commercials on the NFL. See, as the NFL is coming in college football, we want to run these ads now during football season, because you're still going to have at least 6 months from January to June to put together your 15 to 25, 30 girls for your team. You know, also give yourself opportunity to fundraise to get out here, hotel accommodations and transportation accommodations.
Okay. And as dads are watching the NFL, you go, wait a second, my daughter could play in this. Yeah, that's a very savvy idea. Okay. Now, I asked what kind of difficulties you have. What are the strengths? What's going well? I mean, that maybe you're exceeding expectations. What's happening that you're going, wow, I didn't expect this to happen this quickly or this well?
The responses from the athletic directors, both on the college level and also on the high school level. You know, a lot of them didn't even realize that girls want to play football. And there's a lot of females that are now athletic directors or athletic administrators who are like really buying into the fact that, you know what, if I had this when I was playing, I would have played football over this sport. And it's not even a scholarship opportunity sport yet. Imagine what's going to happen when they're offering scholarships, just like the girls' brothers and the dads got the opportunity to play football and got recruited, how this sport is going to kick off. Because not every high school girl that plays basketball is college material. But they're athletic enough that they can be a defensive back. They can be a wide receiver if the opportunity came for them to play the sport. So I think the response that I've gotten from the colleges and them telling me, hey, do you know what it takes to become a varsity sport on the college level? I didn't know what it takes. But it takes 40 Division I colleges to create a club team. Once they have 40 teams, they can vote on it to become a varsity scholarship opportunity sport. Recently, wrestling just got voted in as a Division II scholarship opportunity sport, because at Division II, you only need 28 universities. So if we want to make this a Division I, we need to get 40 colleges. And right now, Florida's been around for 10 years, so you can look at Florida State, Florida A&M. What else is out there? Florida International. You know, so there's about like 8 or 9 universities that are D1 in Florida alone, where they have 300 high schools who participate in flag football. So they have the breeding grounds. They have the recruiting network already set up. You know, we're here in Las Vegas, so we have UNLV. We have University of Reno, which is 500 miles away. So here you go. There's 10 schools. If we get into California, now you got San Diego State, UCLA, USC, you know, Cal State Northridge. We get into those areas, those markets that has lots of universities that are Division I. Now they have the recruiting grounds to recruit these girls to become a club sport and then become a varsity sport. So that's how we want to grow this thing. You know, Georgia is implementing flag football for high school this spring, as a club sport, as well as New York. So imagine those 2 states. So you can see how quickly just getting 40 schools to go ahead and recruit
Right.
get, to do a club team. And then we're trying to set it up where they're doing at least 30 scholarship opportunities for girls at each university. Even though a Division I football team, they have 90, at least we're offering 30. So again, closing the number gap in Title IX is what we're doing. That's what we're pushing.
Okay.
So
Now, I've noticed from some of the people we've talked to on this show, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Bob Jones University in South Carolina that is trying to become a Division III school.
Mhm.
Have you talked to any Division III, NAIA, those kind of places that, okay, now we're going to start the grassroots there, and okay.
Yeah, we actually reached out to a couple of those schools, the Division III, because they don't offer scholarships, but they do offer varsity opportunity sports. And a lot of our girls take care of their business in high school. Unlike the
Right.
boys, the girls got the 2.8 and above GPA. They got their test scores taken care of. They're ready to go to college. So why not have the opportunity to go to a D3 school and get an academic scholarship? It ain't athletic, but they would pay for your school just like sports. So what we want to do as Girls Football Association is also do a national flag football tournament for colleges, because they already have athletes on their campus. They already have intramurals on their campus. Hey, represent your university at Division I, Division II, or Division III, the same way that we're doing the high school. And it can be done at the same time, so that these college coaches can recruit and see the high school girls play. So we have a lot of things in the mix that we can do. It's just a matter of getting the sponsors on board and getting TV. If it's not on TV, it's not a real sport.
Right. Oh, I understand that. I understand that completely. Well, I tell you what, I have a ton of more questions for you, but
Okay.
we're gonna have to cut it short at this point because I've got stuff to do. I'm sure you've got stuff to do as well. But I'd love to revisit this, especially since we're both out here in Las Vegas, and kind of see as we're going towards the tournament and as we're getting the school year along. So what I like to do is I'm going to try and get this in front of as many ADs and AD associations I possibly can. And
Definitely.
I'm gonna let's make sure we get your information out there. I've got a couple people I think that you might want to talk to as far as a couple things as far as the safety is concerned, and then a couple of AD associations that I have. So I'll shoot you a couple of things like that off the air. But if you would give our audience another look at where you can be found as far as website and Twitter and all that fun stuff.
Okay, well, we can be found on the website at girlsfootballassociation.org. Again, Girls Football Association, one word, .org. You can look at Premier 7 Football, the number 7 football.com is the website for our youth program, but it's also the basis of the high school rules that are there that we play by. So you can go there and see some action there. We're on Facebook under Girls Football Association. We have a page there. We got about 3,000 followers on that page. We can be reached at area code 702-874-8058. Again, we're on Twitter. I forgot my Twitter handle because we got other people that are working that for us. We're on Instagram as well, Girls Football Association on Instagram. So there's a lot of things that we're doing. And believe it or not, we've only been for the last about 72 days. In 72 days, we've made a lot of noise nationwide that people have gotten their eyes open and the ears are open and they're listening and want to help. The Girls Football Association is a membership-based organization. When you go there, you can help us out by becoming a member. As an individual member, you can be a corporate member. You can be a club member if you do teams, and you can be a member. So we have a membership page on there for those who don't have the time but want to donate the money to be a member. We take that, and those who want to donate the time, we would love for you to come out and help out. We do free camps and clinics across the United States.
Well, Dion, I really appreciate it. We'll make sure we can help out any way that we can. Just as a end to it, when I was AD and we had the powder puff game, which no one took seriously until, it was like, oh, the girls get out there and play, and then they got on the field, and even though the next year was the same thing, like, oh, we're gonna put, and then it got on the field, like, wow, this is something we should consider.
Definitely.
again, like you said, the boys were more into it than some of the girls were, as far as cheering on the girls, And
Oh,
then
yes.
as you talk to the parents afterwards and throughout the course of the rest of the school year, it's like, you know what, my girl looked pretty good out there, didn't she? Like, yeah, she did. Well, maybe that's something, and and then the conversation dies from that because now you're trying to start something with 3 people. But now, if
Right.
you're looking at it from your organization and what you're doing, now we're trying to start something with a organization, and I think that makes it a lot easier and a lot
Yeah.
more of a thrust to go from just an idea to where you're at and go beyond. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm going to support you as well as we can. And let's revisit this in a few weeks, hopefully, and we'll see how the progress is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll get our CEO, Carla Williams, on here and have her explain because she's the CEO. I'm the mouthpiece, but she's the true leader of what we're doing. So, I'll reach out to her and let's see if we can get her on board and you'll get another perspective from Carla Williams.
Okay. All right. Well, let's close it at that. I think we've done a great job. I think you've done a great job. All I do is sit here and go, because that's all that's necessary. So, as the mouthpiece, you did a fantastic job. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Frank.
All right. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.